Going to the supermarket in Sweden can be a fun experience. Many new things to taste and discover. But it can also be dangerous, funny and awkward if you don't know some Swedish. So I'm here to teach you some useful words and phrases in the supermarket. Let's start with the Swedish word for supermarket, and that is en mataffär. And the supermarket would be mataffären. However, we have a tendency to use the name of the supermarket we're going to instead of using the word for supermarket. That's why it's good to know the name of the biggest supermarkets here in Sweden. ICA, Coop, Hemköp. Don't pronounce this as Hemcoop. Lidl and Willys, but there are of course some others as well. But these are the biggest ones. So a Swede would say something like this if they're talking about going to the supermarket. Jag ska gå till ICA och handla lite mat. I'm going to ICA to buy some food. Once at the supermarket, you might want to ask where a certain product is. For example, milk. There are many ways to ask for this, but one would be ursäkta, var är mjölken någonstans? Which can be translated to excuse me, where's the milk? Somewhere. This word någonstans, somewhere, might seem a bit unnecessary, at least in English, but in spoken Swedish we actually use this, because in Swedish it sounds a bit more polite and softer than to say var är mjölken, which for us sounds more like where's the milk? So by adding this, it's like we're saying you don't happen to know if there's any milk somewhere. That's basically what we use it for and what it means. So let's practice this nicer version again. Ursäkta, var är mjölken någonstans? Then they could answer this. Den är längst in i affären, which kind of means it is further into the store. You know, they always put the milk in the corner furthest in. So you need to cross the whole supermarket and be tempted to buy all the other products on your way to the mjölk. And once you arrive to the mjölken, the milk, be careful. Just because it says mjölk on the package doesn't have to mean that it actually is mjölk. Because we also have this thing called filmjölk, and you don't want to put this in your milk. Filmjölk is something in between fermented yogurt and milk. Filmjölk is often eaten as part of the breakfast with cereals, fruit and jam. And if you're looking for the actual milk, then you should choose any of the milk package that says lättmjölk, what we call light milk. Skim milk, basically milk that has less fat, often in a light blue package. Or mellanmjölk, middle milk, which is basically semi-skim milk. So this one doesn't have too much fat or too little fat. It's the lagom of the milks, often in green packaging. And this is the most popular milk in Sweden because it is lagom. And then we have mjölk, milk, the red one, which is a whole milk. Basically the one with the most fat. This one is extra popular if you want to bake something. And then we also have, for those who needs it, lactose-free mjölk. Lactose-free milk. And before we move on with our supermarket trip, if you want to learn more how to talk about food in Swedish, then you should check out our online video courses, in particular our course for beginners, where we talk a lot about this topic. Click the link to get more information and to sign up. Now, back to our supermarket trip. After you have found the right milk for you and all the other products you want to buy, then it's time to go to kassan, the cashier, a place where you sometimes need to communicate with the other customers because maybe you need to ask them, står du i kön? Are you standing in the queue? And the right answer to this would be either ja, det gör jag, or nej, det gör jag inte. And maybe they're standing in the queue but waiting for their partner who went to grab something in the last minute. Then they can answer, ja, men det kan gå före för jag väntar på någon. Another important thing here in Sweden is to always respect the queue system. Otherwise the Swede will go passive aggressive on you and they might say things like ursäkta, men det är kö här. Or just roll their eyes and do something like And when it's finally your turn to betala, pay, then you will most certainly hear any of these phrases from the kassörska. Var det bra så? Or är det bra så? Two different ways to ask, was that all? And when they say this, it can go really fast. Because it's quite normal in spoken Swedish to skip some letters. So the sentence var det bra så becomes var det bra så? And then comes a tricky question. What do you answer to this? And if you want to answer that you don't want anything else, then to this question, var det bra så, you will need to say some kind of affirmation. Maybe ja tack, or just or just nod. Whatever you do, don't say nej to var det bra så, because this will confuse the Swede. Because then you're saying basically, was that all? No. Then they will think that you want to buy something else. So again, to var det bra så, do some kind of affirmation. You only answer nej to the question något mer, anything else. Then you do say nej if you don't want anything else. I know that many of our students finally get it after taking our Swedish courses. The second thing they might ask you is, är du medlem? Are you a member? I think most supermarkets in the world have some kind of discount for members, so that's why they ask this. And if you are a medlem in Sweden, then you need to show or say your personal number. Personnummer, a kind of identity number that we have here in Sweden. And you normally need this in order to become a member. And if you're lucky, they might say this to you. Du har en bonuscheck på 50 kronor. Vill du använda den? Which basically means that you have these accumulated points that are worth 50 crowns. Do you want to use them? And I think most people would say ja to this. Maybe add a tack if you want to sound extra polite. Ja tack. Another phrase you will hear in the supermarket is vill du ha kvittot? Or just kvittot, which is basically how we say, do you want the receipt? And to this you just say ja tack if you want it, or nej tack if you don't want it. And sometimes they can also ask you, vill du ha en påse? Do you want a bag? And if it's a polite cashier, they will probably wish you a nice day. Ha en fin dag. Not very common in the central of Stockholm, but more common in the suburbs or in the small towns. Please share with us in the comment section below your supermarket experience here in Sweden. Or if you want to know another phrase that can be useful in the supermarket. And before you go, please put a like and subscribe to our channel so we can continue making videos for you.